Hey everyone, welcome back to Noiseberry Games. This video is presented by the EA Creator Network, which just means that they very kindly sent me a review code for this. Today I'm taking a look at UFC 6 on PlayStation 5. This was released on June 19th, 2026. Its regular price is $90 Canadian for the regular edition. I think the Ultimate Edition is like $130 Canadian, and it's obviously developed and published by EA. This is obviously the latest EA UFC game. If you're somehow not familiar, UFC is the Ultimate Fighting Championship. It is the most well-known mixed martial arts promotion in the world. I covered UFC 5 when it came out, probably about 3 years ago now, and yeah, I'll just cut to the chase. This game feels identical to UFC 5. It's kind of shocking how little has changed in it. I still think it's a fun game. I've played it for probably about 6 hours so far. But yeah, like, there's not really any point in buying this when UFC 5 exists. The graphics do look really good. I think the graphics were still fine in 5, but yeah, the graphics look really nice in this. There is one new system called the flow state, which is where if you're playing as, say, a kickboxer and you're doing kickboxing moves in a fight, you will build up this flow bar that you can see in, like, to the left or the right of your character's stats in the top of the screen. And when it fills up by doing matching actions, like I said, if you're playing as a kickboxer, you're doing kickboxing actions. When it fills up, you can press down on the D-pad to enter flow state. And this is where you have got into the flow state of the fighter. Time slows down, everything goes black and white or grayscale around your fighter. It's easier to dodge moves, it's easier to land your own moves. It only lasts, I mean, it's a little bit like bullet time kind of thing, I guess. Doesn't last very long, but that is the new feature in UFC 6. But apart from that, it really is practically identical to the last game. Just like the last game, it has a career mode. You can make your own fighter, or you can take anyone on the roster through the career mode. I decided to make my own character, spent a good amount of time messing around trying to make John Bell in UFC. I think it came out okay, honestly. I do remember in UFC 5, when you started this career mode, you actually started off fighting in, like, backyard, underground cage matches. And I don't think Dana White scouted you out, but I think somebody from UFC like was at like your second backyard cage match, and then they signed you to the UFC. In UFC 6, you jump straight to signing a UFC contract. There's no nothing before that. You just sign your contract right away. I think Dana White sends you a message right away. Yeah, you sign instantly, and you start fighting on televised UFC shows right from the start. There's actually a surprising amount of licensed music in this game. Probably only like 15 or 20 tracks, but I did have fun looking through all the tracks and choosing a good walkout song for my fighter. There was like Down With The Sickness by Disturbed. There was Self-Esteem by The Offspring, but I ultimately chose Wherever I May Roam by Metallica. Pretty cool walkout song. The way the career mode works is you sign a contract for a fight, and then you choose how long you want your training camp to be. And the longer your training camp is, the better shape you can be in for your upcoming fight, but the more of your final winner's purse, or loser's purse, I guess, your fight purse, will go to gym fees. But you get so much money anyway, which is not like real life UFC fighters, that it didn't seem worth not doing the full training camp. So I would always do the full amount of training camp, and during the training camp you get, I think like the max is like 5 or 6 weeks depending on how far away your fight is. During the week you spend your day points. You got 7 days in your week, so you can spend like 1 day promoting your fight on social media to build hype and get fans. You can do interviews, things like that. And you can also do various training regimes in the gym. I made my guy a kickboxer. Well, I was mentioning kickboxing earlier. So I very quickly unlocked the boxing and Muay Thai training systems in the gym. So I would do those whenever I had the time in the training camp, and those would give me fitness. So I would go into the fight with the most possible fitness, and that meant I had the highest possible cardio for my fight. Doing these little training camps also gives you skill points, and you can use those skill points to raise your character's stats. I was playing on easy mode because I just wanted to just chill out and enjoy this game. So I only put stats into, or only put my skill points into like my offensive stats. So I like maxed out kick power and kick speed as fast as I could. And then like accuracy, and then punch power and punch speed. Didn't touch like grappling or jujitsu or anything. And once your week's up, it's time for the fight, and you start off as an unranked fighter with a 0 wins, 0 losses record. When you make your character, depending on how much they weigh, that dictates which division they go into. I made myself into the light heavyweight division, and interestingly enough, the height cutoff for the light heavyweight division was 1.5 inches below my real world height. So my character in-game is slightly shorter, but obviously just slightly more muscular than real life me, just a little bit though. You start off by fighting also like created fighters that they're not real world fighters, and then as you advance up the ranks and start becoming ranked, you will fight real fighters from the UFC. When you make your character, you can put in your first name, your last name, and whatever nickname you want. So I called my guy John Bell, obviously, and I went for the nickname Boom Boom because it was quite funny. There was a list of maybe 30 or 40 nicknames that you could choose from. So I was like, oh yeah, John Boom Boom Bell sounds awesome. I want to hear Bruce Buffer announce that. And so disappointingly, Bruce Buffer does not announce your full name. He just says your last name, and I was so gutted. I really wanted to hear Bruce Buffer say John Boom Boom Bell, and he would just be like, you know, fighting out of the red corner, Bell. I was like, oh, okay.
And now introducing his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, Bell!
Seems very, very strange that they couldn't make it so that Bruce would announce your full name. Like, yeah, if you make like a completely custom name that's not like in the game's list of names, I can understand him not wanting to announce that, but John Bell is a pretty common name. You can easily put that together from a list of names in the game. And yeah, I'm just surprised they couldn't be bothered to make him announce the first name of your fighter, just the last name. That was disappointing. I definitely spent most of my time in my career mode. I ended up, because I was playing on easy difficulty, I ended up going something like 14-0, and so I got a title fight pretty quickly, and won that also pretty quickly, and when I'd won the light heavyweight championship, I was like, yeah, that's probably enough for me. I'll go check out some of the other game modes. I will say, in the menus in the career mode are so incredibly laggy. I thought maybe there was something wrong with how I was capturing my console, because I wasn't actually watching my console's gameplay. I was watching it through the capture card. So I was like, oh, maybe it's just, you know, something slowing down here on the capture. The actual fights were completely smooth. So like, yeah, maybe there's just something going wrong here. And I looked it up, and other people were like, why are the menus so incredibly laggy in UFC 6? I was like, oh, it's really just an issue. And they're so laggy, it's awful. The in-engine cutscenes are all 30 FPS, which is fine, because the graphics really do look absolutely wonderful. But the actual fights themselves are in 60 FPS, and I didn't see any drops at all. A little bit harder to tell on console, but yeah, the performance in the fights themselves was great, but yeah, the menu performance was just dire. And I will say that the slow-mos that they give you at the end of a fight are really, really cool. Graphically, they look fantastic, really high quality. Just take a look at one of these here. One of the first things I did when I started the game up was look through the roster of fighters. I definitely used to watch UFC pay-per-views live, and I've definitely fallen off a little bit, and I started watching them, you know, like the day after or the week after, and eventually I realized, oh, I'm about 10 months behind on UFC, which is, I don't really know how that happened, but I have actually been watching old UFC shows starting from UFC 1 in 1993, and I've been watching those and also Pride Fighting Championship, which was basically UFC in Japan. And I've really been enjoying those. Those are really fun. I'm up to... I just watched Pride 1, so I'm up to mid-1997 at this point, I think. Those are really cool. I've learned a lot of legacy fighter names that I didn't know of before. And so one of the first things I did when I was going through the roster was like, oh, what kind of like Hall of Famer guys do they have? What kind of old school guys do they have? They had an okay selection. They've got Royce Gracie, who won UFC 1 in 1993. They have Ken Shamrock, but you can actually only get him from buying one of the fighter packs, one of the DLC packs, which, yeah, not a fan of that. Especially because, yeah, he just show up in the roster of fighters, you just can't select him. They had Dan the Beast Severn, love that guy. They have Mark Coleman. I think the only fighter from around that time period that I was watching at that I was really hoping to be in there was Don Fry, but he is not in there. I think he might have been in either UFC 4 or UFC 5. But yeah, no Don Fry in this one, unfortunately. Pretty much all of the venues you can fight in, all the arenas, are exactly the same as the last game. You've got like Madison Square Garden, or do you have Madison? I don't think you've got that. You've got like the MGM Grand. You've got whatever the Los Angeles arena is called now, the Crypto Arena. You've got a couple of good Canadian options. You've got the Scotiabank Arena out of Toronto. You've got the Bell Centre out of Montreal. And the one that I was very surprised to see and very interested to see was the venue for UFC Freedom 250, which actually took place, God, like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago at the time of this video coming out. And the venue for that was the White House lawn. And that is one that I did watch live because I was just so intrigued by it. As a Canadian, I thought it was just kind of funny to watch. I think as an American, I would have been mortified to watch it. But yeah, that's kind of cool that it's a venue in the game, especially after only having happened very, very recently. There's also a pretty cool little mode called the Hall of Legends, which is like an interactive museum based on the lives and careers of certain fighters. And I was like, oh, that sounds pretty cool, let's go check it out. I open it up, and there's only 3 fighters in this museum. And they are Alex Pereira, who is the cover star for this one, Max Holloway, who's like all over the menus, the main menus, and also Zhang Weili. So I did the Alex Pereira one, and you can read a bunch about him. You can watch a couple of videos, interviews with him about his backstory and fighting style and things. And you can also you can play 3 of his historic fights, which I thought was really cool. I thought that was a fun feature. I finished the Alex Pereira museum. It only took me half an hour, and the fact that there are only 3 of them and they only take half an hour means it's not really much of a feature. It's just, it's very small, and it is just kind of there. It's cool, I just feel like they could have expanded on that. Like, if you call something the Hall of Legends, you've only got 3 people in it. Like, what's the point? Yeah, I was expecting like maybe some more legacy people in there. That would have been cool, but yeah, just 3 of them is not great, but it's a cool feature. The interactive museum is quite cool, but for some reason that runs at 30 FPS. You can play as your actual character, so I was running around as UFC John. And you actually do move around in this interactive museum, which is cool. It looked nice, graphically lovely. But yeah, I don't know why that was locked to 30 FPS. It's weird. Alright, I think that's all I had to say about UFC 6. The bottom line is there's really no point in buying this when UFC 5 is available on the same systems. it's practically the same game. It's not worth buying just for the new flow state. It's fine, but not game-changing. And the Hall of Legends feature is neat, but yeah, it'll take you an hour and a half to finish the whole thing, and it's not enough of it. So yeah, no need to buy it unless you're a UFC mega fan and you literally only play the UFC games. Thank you guys very much for watching. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!